Well, join us on Uplift today because we've got a filmmaker here who's got some amazing gifts to share with us. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Uplift, uplifting conversations that set your heart on fire. My name is Sarah Wade. I'm an art therapist, a lover of life, a creator, a creative, and so much more. Joining me, as usual, we've got a lovely co-host, Mr. Neil Thrussell from 𝗨𝗣𝗟𝗟𝗚 Alberta in Canada. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Well, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
I'm really excited
to have
Drew on our show today.
And
I'm hoping he's
not
in Canada right now. It's our Thanksgiving weekend, so I'm hoping Drew is not overeating too much, and we can get some quality answers out of him and not the food coma. It's like, oh,
great.
So great to have you, Drew.
It's
great to be here.
Yeah, we've got Drew Kenworthy here from Red Deer in Canada, and it's so great to have another filmmaker on the show. I'm curious to hear a little bit about your story. And, you know, Neil's just touched on Thanksgiving. Is Thanksgiving something that you've ever covered for a documentary or any other films before?
Well, not really. No.
So what is your specialty then?
Well, I would say telling uplifting stories, more about basically that story of somebody that's taking a step to be improving and going in a new direction or yeah.
We had 𝗨𝗣𝗟𝗟𝗚𝗚 McDermott join us on the show. Well, it would have been about a year ago now, hey, Neil? And I know that he was somebody that you did a documentary on, and I was curious to hear about how you found that journey. Because, you know, for those who are unaware of the situation, Scott and Drew made this documentary and they finished, and then unfortunately Scott had an injury. So what was it like for you, Drew, to follow that whole thing from both, you know, a human and from the documentary producer sort of stand position?
This was really interesting endeavor for me. It wasn't something I anticipated to have everything fall apart necessarily. So I just had the idea of like it wasn't my idea. Scott came to me with the idea that we just wanted to make film about it, inspiring in the sense of an average everyday guy owns a gym, but that was like, you know, that's the story. So he's not a professional athlete necessarily at all, but just that story of like anybody can do it. Anybody can be an ultra athlete and finish a race that's pretty crazy, like the race that he's doing, which is in 𝗨𝗟𝗟𝗚𝗏 as the Ultraman, right? And it turned into something quite a bit different. And that's I guess as a documentarian, you have to be ready for things. You have to be ready for the story that you didn't plan on happening. You can actually take it into something that's more inspired, which is what happened for us. And so like it was more a life experience for me. It really taught me a lot. It was inspiring just for me, just for Scott, for his friends, those that were around, those that were participating in the story, you know, and to be able to take all of that and have participated in as a filmmaker, that I've got all the footage and all that kind of thing, and be able to tell that story was like really a gift from God. Like we hadn't anticipated I would have all of these elements of the story that could really come together as this really, uplifting thing. Amazing, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine it would have been quite disturbing in many ways. Neil, you know both these guys. I'd like to hear how you saw it unfold. Well, you're unmuted, mate. Neil? We can't hear you, Neil. So while Neil plays with tech, Drew, had you known Scott long?
Okay.
I
was. Oh wait.
Version one of the movie. I was really excited. For lack of a better term, that we will call it. Before the accident was version one, and it was talking about how to following Scott journey, and this was really exciting to me because I love Scott. Somebody was crazy enough to want to film this. I knew I had to have a heart of gold to be able to follow Scott and do this. So I was excited about the first version of it, and then in the middle of the race, there became a version 2 story to it, and I don't want to say anything negative because the accident happened for a reason. But the accident actually, I think, made for a far better human story.
Yeah, I think we can all relate to that story where, you've been hit by something, or you've just, everything's gone awry, and then you pull yourself back together, or someone who has, and that's exactly what happened to Scott. And what was uplifting for me was hearing how during the race, the two guys that were behind him stopped to help him after his accident because his life was in danger. And I thought, I've got goosebumps now thinking about it, and I can be sure that you being present on the scene, that would have been just traumatic. And then going back through the footage, to find the right thing to share without sharing too much detail. How did that sit with you?
Well, it was really in the moment. It was I came up to the accident scene. Like for me, I was just when you're in the film, like that's I kind of talk about how that happened. And I just kind of I'm in the middle of filming, and it's like this. I'm excited because it was in Hawaii, and there's all sorts of good, scenic shots everywhere. And I'm trying to get what I need to. And I think I'm glad that I was doing what I was doing. Being anywhere nearer to that would have been. I think I was at the right place where I needed to be, so that I could come to the scene at the right time. Because I really feel like, and I think that's God's grace, just kind of like this is where I needed to be, and those other cyclists, the athletes. They were there where they needed to be, and I think it was all there. When I came, it was just like holy cow! There's a guy down, and then again, and I'm like, oh, that's Scott. But at the same time, I was still in filmmaking mode, because I whether it was Scott or whether it was another guy. I was in filmmaking mode. I was going to getting footage of this, seeing it, doing that. And so I just kept rolling, and it was one of those things that Scott and I talked about before, and it was just like you get everything. Like he wanted it all documented. It wasn't like okay, well, if something really bad happens, keep rolling. But it was like we knew that it was like the good and the bad. All of this is going to be part of it, right? And so it wasn't really a question like, what do I do? Should I keep going? It was like I'm going to keep going, but trajectory changed because it wasn't anymore about Scott's finishing the race. It was about like it really there wasn't anything else to tell Scott. He was on the plane, to Oahu and taking it there. And now it was about the Ohana and the aloha, like that's the love everyone has, and that ohana, like before the race started, it's a different race. Ohana, like there's everybody looks out for one another. But then this was something that added that element that like show that in a way that I've never done before. And so it was just like okay, this is something that is really amazing as far as story because it's sort of those things where you can put yourself in that story to just feel that idea of helping another person or being there, or just even reaching out. Like it was amazing for me because on day three, he wasn't there, but I still ran with the athletes, and it was just incredible how many athletes are like, how are you doing? Just seeing it, whether it was to me or on the film, and I caught some of that. It's in the film, but it's like it was just so touching, like just heartwarming, like how many athletes were just like really concerned about it, because it's their race. They're still honest, but they're thinking about Scott. There's athletes that just finished it with him in mind, right? On that day, and then it goes on to not just there because he's still passing them home. There's just all these rallying around and just like made it possible for him to do that.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. And I can imagine, being on the scene as an athlete, you'd want to finish the race for him, as a bystander, you want to be cheering on everybody around you continue the race. As somebody, following around with a camera, watching it, I can just imagine that you're in that moment as you described, and then going back through it to watch it again and again and decide, what to keep and what not to keep. Was there any of the footage you didn't show Scott, or did you just leave it as raw and, hey, what should we put in here?
There's lots of footage that I left on the cutting room floor because there's just so much. And I mean that's talking about footage that I recorded, or there's lots of stuff that Scott recorded because the idea we did was a lot of it was going to be just his GoPro footage. Right, and so he's just talking, and this is like from 2014 on. There's all these clips that maybe are just ended up being an inspiration just for me, but because he's just talking about this was a hard day, this was a great run, or this was a hard run, great cycle, but all of that is it's I had to channel it in as to where it's going to fit into the story the best.
Yeah, there must have been interesting that people who've never made a film. Actually, you guys jump in and let us know if you've ever made a film, or if you, whether it be a long film or a short film, or if you've maybe put something together for your family from your family photos. You'd be aware of some of that editing process. As a creator myself, I go through and I do leave a lot on the editing floor, as Drew put it just a moment ago. I'm curious then if that amount of footage that you leave on the cutting floor, is there a stock standard, like 75% you don't use, or how do you sort of there'd be a lot that be superfluous, and I'm curious what happens in most shows, most of what you do.
Well, it really has more to do with whether it fits into the story.
Yeah.
Like I sort of was like writing it down. This was sort of my list of keywords. And these went like with me even when I was filming, because it's more just like these are the things that apply to Scott or the story that we're trying to tell. And so it's kind of like as I'm looking at that footage, does it apply to any of these keywords?
Right.
Then it goes in, or then it goes out. So that's kind of where I would sort things through. It was really quite a process because this was the first time that I've ever done a feature documentary.
Okay.
Like I'd done kind of like shorter project. This was supposed to be a short project too. Like it would have been I think 30 minutes. If that, but this ended up being a lot longer because the story just needed it.
Yeah, it evolved so much, and Scott was such an inspiration when he came onto the show, and I'm sure that in real life is an inspiration to everyone who's around him. Did you ever meet other people? You must have met a few other people who inspired you over the years being a filmmaker. What are some other stories that you can share with us?
Well, the other documentaries that I've done, which were prior to this, was one that my first one was called Change, and it's basically about five different people, and they were all from the gym because I worked with one-to-one fitness, one of the gyms here in the Red Deer, and we basically took these five individuals and over the time, and it was just going through the just working out, doing changing the diet, that was pretty cool. It was a good experience. Like they're just like again this everybody can do it. You can take yourself and apply the idea of just changing what you're doing now to reach a goal. Fitness is easy. It's in that kind of sense because you have that physical goal, and you can make that effort, and usually you see results. And what's nice about this five people, it's like some of them were different. Like Brad was like he ended up going from being a little bit overweight, and then I think it was one of his best stories. He's like him's a triathlete, and then some of the others, it's like they're still making progress. But you can see yourself in pick somebody. That's me. That's what I need to do. So it's those reachable things. It's more the health and fitness that I've kind of gone through and made. And then if I say I've applied it in my background, I guess. I started out doing work with wedding films. And then into corporate, and this same idea of story and developing, improving applies here too, because it's like even with wedding films, I try to like look at where's the story, and where's the personality, and you've got a story about two people that love one another, and then just kind of like fitting that in there, right? And telling the story that way. It's kind of like I've always wanted to be in film, but when I just did this as a job, I was like, how can I apply these passions that I have about storytelling into that, so it creates different outcome, right? And then Yeah.
So when did you wake up, come out of the mother's womb and go, I want to be a filmmaker, or did it slowly just creep up on you? Was it through photography? Was it writing? What triggered what passion arose in you to decide that I'd like to try this videography and this video stitching stories together?
Well, I would say, yeah, I wasn't like necessarily born. I sure had a camera in my hand a lot when I was young. Like if there was YouTube, I'm sure I would have been like right on there when I was young. I grew up with many siblings. And we would just kind of like Sunday afternoon downstairs in my basement making movies and stuff like that. So that's kind of where it came. It always was with me. And I went to broadcasting school at 𝗨𝗍𝗟𝗏. And I took TV a little bit, and I took radio, and I ended up in radio. It's kind of interesting. But I always kept the TV because I did some TV with that, but I liked it both. And so I ended up doing radio a little bit, and then I eventually did this video work on the side, and then it just kind of became full time. And so that's kind of like this just kind of never left me really, I guess.
Yeah, you kind of came full circle there, really, didn't you?
We're gonna have to do some very untechnical and very unprofessional things here, because our audience is like begging us to fix their audio, and we've all done everything we can. So the only thing, and we can narrow it down to that it could be Drew's connections. We're gonna ask Drew to exit, and we'll insert him out to a puppy show or something, and then we're going to ask him to come back in. You've never in all of the 3 years I've been doing this, it's been like the one guy that we're like, come on. So I'm gonna just ask you to leave and then come back in. Can I remove guests? So
see you in a minute, Drew.
Come back in, Drew.
Puppet show? I don't know about a puppet show. Yeah. I mean, I do all sorts of crazy things with Maya, but hey guys, thanks for letting us know about the audio. We appreciate that. We appreciate you. We appreciate your feedback. We appreciate your comments and questions. Please jump in and let us know anything, anytime. And Neil, I can see behind you.
We really want Drew on the show.
We do. He's got so much to share. Neil, I can see behind you. You've got a bunch of I am statements that weren't there last time we chatted. I can see that they're really strong and powerful too. Where did these come from? Did they just hit you in the middle of the night, or did you find them from another story somewhere?
They've been on the wall to my left, and I just moved them behind me as I'm changing my studio around, and I thought with the uplift this would be a very good background.
Yeah.
I noticed on my corner here, I've got a little bit of my storage still there. I didn't think that would make the best. Oh, there's Drew.
Hey,
hi.
Welcome back.
So I don't know.
Can you hear?
Am I still echoing?
I can hear perfectly fine.
Unfortunately.
That's good. So we were getting back to the story. I appreciate that we've had a bit of a break, guys. Let us know if we've still got any audio problems or not. But it's interesting, that storyline. We've spoke about story a few times. How do you write a story about a documentary in advance? Is it themes? Where do you go?
So ask that question again. Just
how do you write a storyboard for a documentary, knowing that it's not scripted? is there any scripting in a documentary to stick to the storyline, or is it, this is what we're trying to cover, like you showed us your notepad before, and then work that story around the footage that you've got?
Essentially, like I said, with that list of keywords, I'm looking for these things that are gonna make sense to that documentary. They're Neil's pulled up. These are the keywords, and then it's kind of like the story is telling itself. I don't really have any idea how it's going to go, but I'm looking back to the idea that wedding filmmaking was kind of something that really prepared me for this because you can't plan, but kind of what's going to happen. I know Brad's going to go down the aisle, but I'm waiting for the groom's response, how he's going to. So this is the same idea with documentary. In the race, I know things are going to happen in a certain way, but where I need to be, and then film that. Right. So that part of things is kind of like the only way for the script. And then this is kind of like my mapping of what do I do with all that footage. But the keywords are kind of like the way to narrow it down, so that I'm not just getting a fire hose worth of footage because I've narrowed it down a little bit at the point that I need it. And so then I can still see okay, this is relevant. Some of these things it's just not going to fit into the time, or it didn't work once I get in there, whatever, right? But this is obviously my way of looking at it. And I kind of had to really just make it up as I went in a lot of ways.
Makes sense. And having that experience, having gone from short films into this, what turned out to be quite a feature-length sort of film, what would you recommend for budding filmmakers out there? Whether, content creators like Neil and myself, working as coaches online, we're sharing our stuff with people. We want to put videos out. Or whether you're, a family and you putting your stuff out there you want to share with friends and the like. Do you need money to start making a film? Are phones enough? What would you start as a budding filmmaker? What would you recommend?
Well, I would always say you just work with the budget that you have. If you can afford a camera, then you can go get it. But the most important part is the story. And so if you're able to share a story that resonates with people, that's what when you're scrolling through social media, what makes you stop, right? It's not necessarily a good quality video. Sometimes it's just talking person on their camera. Right? So it's really just we have this amazing ability to just put our stories out there. And if we can tell it in a fancy way, that's better. But still getting the message out there is a good way. Right?
Yeah, it makes sense. So start from a phone. If you've got more, go for it. And then do people are interested in different angles? Do you want to have a different phone setup or a different camera setup so you're recording from two different angles? How do you sort of think about that sort of situation for the elements of the film that you're making?
Well, if it adds to what you need to do. Yeah, sure. It's important. And when I'm talking about this project that I did with Scott, or even these other projects, I've mostly done it kind of really guerrilla style, meaning it's just me, and I'm. Now maybe that's a little not the best approach, but it is when the budget calls for just one of me, then I've got to be five people sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So that means I'm like the director, producer, and the filmmaker. You know, I'm running with the camera, and so that means I have to like shape and like be ready to run with athletes. And so that's kind of like stretch. I guess that's the thing. Stretch yourself in a way that you maybe didn't think you could.
So did you find then, with working with athletes over time, that you lost weight or your fitness improved from being around these inspirational athletes?
Oh, I certainly did. Yeah. I went from a little bit overweight, and then over the time of getting to know some of these athletes, and then like I did one documentary prior to Scott. That was just a health and wellness company, and I took on a lot of what they taught. And then so it was kind of like I had that eating well down already. And then Scott's project kind of just like pushed me to the point like, I've got to be able to face these guys. And so I started running and doing half marathons. And that was like important because I on the 2018 day 3, I checked my watch, and I had run basically a half marathon with the camera that you see there. So by the end, I needed to be in shape, something like that.
Yeah. And then your neck muscles and everything would be out. How do you prepare for the physicality, like that extra camera? Like everyone else is running and riding on what they're doing. How do you prepare for that extra physicality of carrying that weight of the camera? Are you walking around the supermarket carrying a camera just to sort of build that muscle? What are you doing?
Well, I think it's just yeah. I just had to get used to it. And really, like the thing is, we do have like smaller cameras, and they're getting better and smaller and more smooth. Even that's a rig that I like, but I like using it. But you have to walk a certain way. You have to make it like work so it's not going to be extremely shaky and all that stuff. So yeah.
You're still muted.
Oh.
Neil, you're muted, mate.
Neil, yeah.
Technology today. I don't know if it's because we're on multiple continents or what's going on. Nope, you got it again. You might have pressed it twice. Guys, thanks for bearing with us. And if you've got any questions for Drew or for Neil and I, please drop them into the comments and we'd love to ask them on the show.
So we know what you've done in the past, and I love the film, and kudos to you. But what would be the if it could fall into your lap and actually give you a budget this time? What would you love to do? What would you pick?
That is a good question. I really enjoyed the traveling in going to Hawaii. And I guess what I would say it would be like do just a documentary about food, maybe our reliance on it, or that kind of thing. But food in an uplifting way. I'm not talking about just like just indulge or whatever, but also just having just that healthy aspect of it, and how different people eat, or their cultures. I don't know, like there's that's kind of like a bit of a passion there. I would jump on any a triathlete or something to like this, that I've done as well. So
I like how you sat back and pondered that.
That was a
good question for you, wasn't it?
I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, that you did with Scott. I noticed there was a particular snack, dessert, cream donut. There was a lot of salivating from the support staff, and as they're trying to get this ready for Scott in part of the movie. And it was like, I don't know who is more enthralled. Scott trying to eat this later on, or the crew is support crew.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's interesting because he really wanted that. That was part of it. Then by the time he got there, his stomach couldn't really handle it, right? So it was like it was a chocolate milkshake instead at that point, But the crew got to indulge in those.
Bonus point for
for the aerial is the film, and the B-roll is the stuff that you use in the background. But I love your B-roll real stuff, the drone photography that you use sometimes to follow the race and to bring the sense of Hawaii into the film. Was that a plan, or was that just hope I'm getting great footage, and then we'll just use what we can?
No, it was definitely planned. Because with drone footage, definitely have to just make the plan to do get all those different things in that sense, right? Like so I basically made sure that I would have a couple extra days, before and after the race, I could go around the island and get those bits of B-roll. The first time I was there in 2015, I kind of left thinking I don't know if I have enough footage to make a film. Those things lacking, but I had to leave. And it was like there was a really hard time to leave that point. Right? It was like everything was we were uncertain even what's going to happen with Scott. And it was like I was just really drained. Energy was at that point in 2015. So it's kind of like coming back to 2018. I was like, we just do this right. And what I loved about I was excited about all the footage that I had, whether it was in the race or the footage that I got, the drone, everything was just like this. I was just on top of the world at the end of that, because we were all excited by that. Because spoiler, he finished the race, and it was like amazing, right? Kind of, yeah.
And I think we should plug the name of the movie.
What was your emotion? Because you did the directing, the producing, the videography. You got your own water. You had everything trade. What was it like for you the very first time you saw your work of art, your passion project on the big screen?
Oh yeah, this is definitely a
proud moment.
And it was like also there was different screenings. The first screening was like just our group of like locals. We showed it at Sylvan Lake, and we were like, this is first screening. We want some feedback. So it was also kind of like a little nerve-wracking. For one, I was like editing right till the very end, and you know, creating a Blu-ray that I could hand off to the silver screen, silver cinemas, and it was down to the wire. Yeah, I put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, like all the way through. Like I edited it basically in my garage. So yeah, I was nervous, like how people were gonna think about this. Scott hadn't even really seen the whole thing, you know. So I was like, but I did love it enough. I'm just like, I was like, I can do this, and it was like, yeah, it was just an incredible experience because you could just sense that everybody loved it. I mean, yes, most of the people were like friends of Scott. But they still, you know, were very well received. Yeah, we took feedback from there and made an even better movie after that, right? But yeah, it's an incredible thing being able to just put your work out there, and people are like, yeah, that's great.
Is it kind of like
it was.
I know you've got a couple of children. Maybe that's a testy question there, but is it kind of like your baby, putting it out there and feeling that pride?
Yeah, a little bit.
There is.
Yeah, and it's that's where you gotta be a little bit ready to remove myself somewhat because I have to be like. There's changes, and I can't be. I had to kind of like give a little bit to say, all right, I can let this, you know, and fix it up or whatever. But yeah.
And I'm assuming
so back to the
emotions.
So you got a New York Film Festival. What was it like to be in the energy of a big film festival?
Yeah, the film festival was pretty fun. Because it's a different crowd. You know, and they appreciate it for different reasons. Than your regular crowd we've shown it to, because we had, like I say, many screenings, and we even toured it, raise money to pay for music licensing. But the festival scene was actually pretty hard, like because it's just like there's a lot of waiting. You submit it, and then hope. And it was kind of like it was actually a little depressing and kind of like when you didn't get in, but it was also like the bigger film festivals that I was putting it in. Like I was thinking, Sundance. I'm gonna get into this one. But it's like we ended up getting into a film festival in New York on Long Island, and that was incredible because it was just like the networking part of it, and just talking to people in different and hearing what they thought of it and why they liked it. And then we had festivals that we went closer to home, like Okotoks, and then here at the Red Deer Festival, which is the Central Alberta Film Festival. And we picked up different awards, like the Central Alberta Film Festival we did last year, and we got the Audience Choice Award. And that was awesome because then I got to get up there and really feel like we earned something, you know. And so that's kind of like, I guess what I'm saying is it just took a long time, and it's a little bit it's more gratifying because it's just a reward that's a little more recognized. I mean,
and what did you recognize in yourself, or maybe those around you, after the last? It was it a 5 or 6 year project, wasn't it? So decent project with Scott. Yeah. What did you notice about yourself after watching, his inspirational story and putting everything that you put into it, clipping what you did and pulling this amazing story together? Did people notice much of a change in you?
I don't know. I think that's a question.
That's a question maybe.
But yeah,
when I say it,
it is. Sorry, I was just reading
the
comment there.
When
I think about how much it impacted me. I mean, already Scott's an inspirational guy. And then you add something like this that just knocks him off. Right? I think like the film, we're not just the film, but the process of making a documentary like this really helped us all feel like there's hope, and to be able to put hope in the process of right. So whatever it fits. What is interesting is when Scott in 2015 he went through, and I actually he a 3-year gap, and I went through a divorce. I had my own kind of like dip and come back and and hardships. But the idea is here that where you rely on these words, right? You're talking about endurance. Never give up. Right? That was his main mantra. Basically, is the wisest Christ ever. We all have those types of things that are ready to knock us down. We can't feel like we can't do on our own. But we have to look up, look around, find ways to see it over it. It was actually one of the things that really got my interest in this downtime for me was running. And I think for each person, there's something that you love that you can enjoy on your own, and you need that. Because you got to be able to still love yourself. And be able to do something that you can lift yourself above those dark times. You feel like you can be uplifted or close to God, or on a better spiritual level, and those types of things, right? So I guess am I looking at all of those parallels? I was coming out of the things, and I had to say like that about the whole crew. Like Lyle had a hard time too. He was going through tough times, but it's the pulling out, right? And looking for ways to find hope, and like the last word is heal. And where I was getting with that is that closure, being able to go back and finish that. That was like gain that hope, and just putting a cap on it. It's possible. It just so many people would say this impulse. He did, because he should have probably died. And yet he went back and finished the race. That's Neil said.
So I'm willing to go back and rerun his race. If you could go back to 2:15 and start over, over, all the events would still occur. What learnings would you have, what knowledge would you have liked to have back then for your movie making? If you could take your movie, or give you your movie making skills and your production skills and your passion back to 215, which one would you just like, please God, give it, I'd love this skill set, additional skill set.
Well,
Actually, there's
technical
on the technical side.
I work at PB Industries.
That's my main job.
Corporate
videographer there,
and just before I went
to
go back to
Hawaii.
It's interesting that I ended up in 2018 that I had a project where I was doing a commercial. Like there was an air on TSN, and I just figured out how do I make my camera broadcast quality, and I had to basically figure out all the YouTube, everything on YouTube. And I was like amazed. Okay, I can actually do this. My camera, I have all the gear. I just need a few extra. And so I guess what I'm saying is that I had the ability in 2018 to do it with my camera and make my footage look amazing, much better. But I just didn't have the skills in 2015. So in that case, sure, I would have loved to go say, hey, 2015 Drew, look, you could do this with your camera. It will look that much better. It will look amazing. You actually put, I basically had my cam on the rig in 2015. But I figured out how to put my cam on the rig and get all the main stuff on that. Whereas I was 2015 just using the good camera on a tripod. So if you watch the film, you'll see the footage is a little bit different. But it's just because I was less experienced or hadn't figured all this out. But is neat how that project happened just before the second time, so that I could get the better footage. And so it's kind of those things that you improve. I can't go back and say this is what we end up doing, right? We look at I more because I'm a filmmaker. I can look at stuff. I should be able to. I should be able to look at stuff that I've done and say, no, that's kind of like it's good. I should be able to say to myself, yeah, like today footage should be better. I should be improving. Because if I'm not, then I should question, what am I doing? Because I should be always trying to improve upon the skills that I have right now today.
It's one of those things, isn't it? That,
I understand, because your equipment can improve, but also your ability to tell the story should improve.
Yeah, I think you're right. Absolutely.
I apologize to all our viewers, all our listeners of the horrific audio that we've had, but I want to say a heartfelt thank you for those that have chosen to stick with it and continue on. I think we may just have to ask and beg Drew to come back when all of the audio gods are want to play nicely with us so that we can do this right, because I have no idea. All of our settings, we were in the green room backstage looking at all of them and trying to make this right. We want it to be good. We want a great quality. We want Drew to share his story. We want you to enjoy Drew's story. So thank you for those that have chosen to stay with this story.
Yeah, we appreciate you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I feel like we're wrapping this up, are we, Neil? Is that what's happening here? We've got 5 minutes before we would usually close the show. And yeah, guys, we appreciate you. We appreciate your feedback. Drop us in any comments or questions. We'll get back to you after the show. And we trust that you, like us, got some value out of it. I think it was really interesting to hear about how we can improve as a person, and we don't even realize that we improve those day-to-day moments. It's like, if you've got a child yourself and you notice, well, you maybe don't notice how much they've grown. Recently I went to see family about a 5-hour drive away, and I could tell these kids had grown so much, but in that moment, you don't recognize it. So it was curious for me to hear, Drew, as you were telling that story and going back and hearing how you had changed a little bit here, and those skills there, how it could have all improved. We're all human. It's okay to change. That's part of life. It's natural to ebb and flow. And I think it's a wonderful thing that you could share some of the story with us today, Drew. It's been a pleasure. And I'm looking forward to our next chat.
Thank you.
And I think if
I would add,
we'd like to leave with this. Oh, sorry. What would you like to leave our audience with as a word of uplift or a couple words of uplift and to wrap this up? If you've got something that you would like to share.
The thought that I was going to go with here is to continue on the idea of the technical side of what would you say to yourself in 2015. But then there's also the idea of not technical, not anything else. But what I change, what I say, hey, Drew, Scott's gonna have a problem. You need to be at this point and that point. Really, and I would say no, I wouldn't change that because I can see even times in my own life, you need those struggles to be able to overcome challenges to become stronger. I look at that even with my own big challenges. Like I said, when I went through a divorce, I'm a much better person because of that big thing. And now I'm more blessed because I'm remarried. I have a beautiful family because of it. I've got 7 kids and amazing wife and good support. And that's the part I've never added into this is like creating a documentary like this and having support like a documentary like this and having a support like my wife has been amazing. But I guess I'm getting back to that, would I change, But I guess I'm back to that, would I change, that I've been through because it was hard because it was a second. It was hard because I had. Because it made me look up to God. Because it look up to God. It made me find a way through these trials. And find that strength. Right. Adversity is what gives us. Right. Diversity is what gives us that story. That's what Scott's story is. That's what Scott's story is. Really crappy for him. Yeah, it was. But we can look at that story and be inspired. And be inspired for him, and he's become a different person because of it. And I think that's the point to keep on is that we have that evolution of our own stories. And we need to embrace the good and the bad, and be able to make it through that. Right? And we go. I guess we go through these things for a reason. That's our deal. It's our deal. And it's interesting. It's interesting to be able to go through and do that as a filmmaker and document things like this. It's neat.
Appreciate you sharing with us. Hey, Neil, I'm going to wrap things up for us and let you say the final goodbye. How's that for a change, hey? Hey, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate you, Drew. We appreciate guys watching in live and in replay. And just like us, you'll go out there and enjoy more uplifting conversations. Neil?
Whatever you do, follow your passions. Bring the joy out of your heart and into the world. And know that you're loved. And thank you for joining us.